And by the
other
way,
parties can benefit
okay.
from it.
And by the way, I did remember what it was. What I
What?
No, it was I was having a conversation with someone about, it was just community, and how community is important for return on investment, even if you're investing in it now and you're not going to notice for a while. Crazy returns, some small returns, but crazy returns. The one thing that was notable was like Tony Hsieh's book.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in there, and I don't want to directly quote it because I'm going to screw that up. He talks about how keeping basically people in a positive mindset with the company after a certain amount of time, like say 2 years, there's a return, and there's automatically a return, and it's hard to really quantify that, but I've seen that with my networking, that like people just know me and see me and they're like, oh, he's that guy, he's friendly, okay, and then 2 years later they're like, here's an opportunity for you, you want to, and I'm like, frankly I don't even remember. I don't remember when we met, but I'm so glad that I made this person so happy.
Mm-hmm.
and it's
So is that, but you say it as though it's for community as a whole, but that seems like more for like
that was
personal
that's
professional development,
and that's why I have to have it more well thought out.
Yeah, because we had a long conversation about that yesterday. We just met, Jason and I met Leo Widrich, and he's the co-founder of
he's the one
Buffer.
The other. Really, a Buffer.
And he is now working to build a community space.
Okay.
So it's like co-working and collaboration and like intense focus on community and like living a balanced lifestyle, focusing on like meditation in the morning, having everyone centered around communal meals, but also like co-working, so you're getting your shit done. But like he's really thinking about like, how do we keep the element of community alive and well, and not just make this into boutique office space.
Is he the one who, I believe correct me if I'm wrong, the origin of Buffer was they put out a post, so, they put out the launch page, mm-hmm. and then for people who don't know, Buffer put out a page without actually having a product initially.
And what is Buffer? Probably.
And what is Buffer? Buffer is similar to Hootsuite in a content scheduling system for your social media.
So they put out a page. Before the product was even
before the
built.
product was even there. So I would think that if this is the same guy, he'd have some very interesting, psychological mindset reasons.
He did technically put out a page for his new community space.
Oh, really? And then just
and the space, I mean, it's still lacking furniture. It's still lacking like all the decor, but he wanted to like begin getting people's interest and begin getting a sense. He was inviting people in just to like hang out there, even without decorations, without furniture, to think through like what does this need to really feel like the kind of space that will attract people who are very, very intentional about getting the right community and getting that feel for like we are all supporting one another here.
That's interesting, because that feels more like a product testing thing, while the original Buffer splash page was him just kind of putting it all out there, and people were like, yeah, I want it as is. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that this is probably the best topic for us to talk about, is what it means to either be part of a community or grow a community, or like what is, if you are building a new startup and you have the potential to hire a community person, what does that even mean?
Sure.
I think it makes more sense when you're building a co-working space where like having the kind of person who's like super generative, wants to make sure everyone present is able to thrive and meet the people they need to meet or make the connections they need. Like if you have a knack for that, then like that's huge, because you improve the productivity and the lives of all the people around you. But in the case of a startup where like you have a finite budget, like how much do you spend on a community person, and when do you make the call that it's worth having a community person?
I mean, when it comes to when and how, I would speak more on, I wouldn't speak on when to get the person. It's more, I would speak on like where it's going to be beneficial and how, I mean, because I guess it it depends on your approach here. Like I was consulting with someone, and they recently, and they had an interesting product, right?
Mhm.
And they have a bunch of subscribers, and they have churn rate, and they're like, our industry, there's a lot of competitors, and there's always going to be the same. There's always going to be content, and everyone's always going. It's a whatever, you subscribe to content. There's always going to be people who like the content. There's always going to be people who dislike the content. There's always going to be people who want more, and people are going to have. People are always going to find a reason to not use your content, even if it's good. You can try as hard as you can. So he was thinking about differentiators in the how to differentiate himself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came by and started consulting with him, he's like, we have people loving us just for us. So aside from the content, they just came because they felt more at home, I guess. Having a more personal
What did they do to convey that this was more personal? Was it in their, like, the way they tweeted? Was it in was it like something in the office itself? Did they have
This
an
was
office?
actually consulting within Slack. So we set it up so that the CEO would message every single person that came in.
Uh-huh.
And
That always feels really nice.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love it personally. I mean, when I was building Angular Buddies, and I wanted to make a Slack that everyone felt at home, so that even if I wanted to ask a favor, I would like everyone in the community to be able to ask for a favor from someone in the community and give that back. So I wanted to give the feel of everyone having that kind of what is it?
Like instant access?
Yeah,
Or
instant. Well, it's, feeling.
close camaraderie?
Yeah, it's like everyone is able to have that with anyone in the group. You can message them. I wanted to convey that, and the best way for me to do that was you come in, the person who made the community is right there, straight up, how's your day going?
And is it the actual CEO, or is it like the bot version of the CEO, which is pre-programmed to talk like the CEO?
So it's only the bot version to get the conversation to start. Then he comes in immediately, as soon as he can, right after. But he was telling me how many messages, how much of his schedule it was taking
Just
up.
replying to people.
But he also told me like how many people he converted. Were conversions, how many people signed up for the product after.
It makes all the difference in the world. Like, I can still remember from the last 5 years in startup land,
Sure.
each of the times when the CEO of the company was the one to reply to my email.
Yeah.
Because each of those times you're just like, this is so cool.
Yeah. I still have the Phil Libin of Evernote as a Twitter follower, because he's like DM me, and I'm like, oh my god.
I got the thirst for this at a very young age when I was in, I think it was either 5th grade or 7th grade. I bought a pen that I saw at CVS.
Okay.
And it was called the Pen Again, and it was like a pen that was like a wishbone shape, and it would fit directly into your hand.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
And then I was so excited about it that when they had the new launch of their fancy metallic one, it was like the high-end pen, and I saw that there are all these errors about the launch date, and the order form was totally broken.
Sure.
And so I emailed them saying dude, I've been recommending this pen to everyone I've ever met. How is this so broken, the website? And then I got an email back from the CEO saying dude, Steve, thank you so much for this. I'm really sorry. I'll fix all the dates on the website.
Yeah.
What's your address? Let me send you first copy of the pen when it comes out.
That's awesome.
And then, in the mail, I get this fancy brand new pen. I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
Oh my god. Damn, I was just thinking of a tangential topic that was quite related. Why does it always escape
Is this
me?
about? We still haven't touched on why.
Oh yes,
your person you're consulting for.
This is my ADHD, just
community.
going all over the place.
Did he hire? Were you the sort of community person? Was he acting as the community person?
So no. So I mean, he hired me for community stuff, but he wanted more of the the voice to come from the CEO himself, which I applaud. That's great. And
you can hire a part-time
Yeah.
Consulting community person. Is this what your title is?
Yeah, I mean, at this point...
We haven't addressed who the hell you are, so...
Yeah, that's true.
If you have a title in mind, I'm going to call you the part-time consulting community.
Yeah, exactly.
Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. You're
exactly.
The consulting community.
I like the Barney aspect of it, where...
Barney
from How I Met Your Mother, where people ask you, oh, what do you do? And he goes, you're so cute.
Wait, explain.
Because I've been doing a lot of quirky jobs, and it's like, if I meet people, I don't say, like, if I say, hey, someone said I was the startup doctor, like, hey, I have this issue with my startup, I need it to be fixed. So I'd be doing, marketing, development,
so are you a
product, like
startup doctor, a startup diagnostician,
right?
A startup surgeon.
So I would start with diagnostics, and then I would move into, whether it would be like doctor. But I mean,
so is it more like do I take you here for routine checkups, or are you like the ER for startups? Like, when do I come to you?
So I mean, I've caught too many startups in the ER phase, and I've just been like, no, this is not good. This is not good. And I mean, I've been able to advise them in what I would very much say are correct disciplines to fix said issues. But it's the type of thing where it's the ER phase, man. It's so hard.
And are you doing specifically community things in this regard, or is this
No, so I'm saying, like, it could be development. It could be. I mean, I'm not. I try to stay out of development myself, but I outsource a little bit. But product. I was getting more into the UX scene because back when I started doing UX, people were laughing at it as a concept. Mm-hmm. But still paying me a
2 years ago, 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
I feel like UX is now pretty.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point where everyone's like, yeah, shit.
Yeah, It was 5 years ago, probably longer. Yeah. How long ago did UX become like a real thing? Like, it became a real thing a while ago, but like,
I've had highly estimable friends who are UX developers or UX researchers for at least the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Where like I could confidently
I've seen
refer
like
someone
10
to
years
company.
or something, but it's I don't know.
I'm bullish on UX, especially after in the past couple of weeks I've been dealing with a lot of like life UX problems.
Life UX.
I mean, I think there's an entire series of subreddits for this where, like, you have a push sign with a pull door.
Okay.
And, like, it's just UX fail because, like, people are like, you can't do this. And, like, there's legal problems when you have the wrong UX where, like, you can't do that for fire code reasons.
Oh, my God. Well, that's... Yeah. I mean, is that like a co-working space thing that you're talking about?
This is any space. This is not even a startup.
Okay, because I thought you were using that as a metaphor. It was literally like a push sign on a pull door.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or like anytime you're leaving a building, you want it to be, a push. So if there's a fire, like people can just go right out. You have to like open in. And I was just in another space where they had like a recording studio, and the room was like 5 feet by maybe 7 feet.
Okay.
Tiny room, but the door opened into it. So if anyone's in the room, as soon as you open the door, you're hitting everyone.
Yeah.
And so
I hope that door has a lock.
It was just ridiculous, and it was like, how do you?
Yeah.
You
I thought you were talking about,
but they didn't.
I thought you were talking about it metaphorically, like I've got to get up and get some work done, and your body's telling you to stop, and the pillow is a better way to go about life.
No, this is very literal.
Which is very amusing.
But anyway, I'm really curious because you and I have both thought, like, we've both put a lot of effort into growing communities everywhere we go. So like I have multiple types of salons that I host in different cities.
Yeah.
And that's for bringing together people who are like coastally curious, who like are new to a city and want to make friends, or people who've been there for a long time, but all they know is their coworkers, so they want to make friends. And I just like basically say, here's the thing, it's going to happen on a regular basis, and this is where you can meet your people.
Yeah.
And I have like a community for Magic the Gathering, and it's like based on Facebook.
That's awesome.
We have one for...
I was thinking about getting it, whatever.
People involved in polyamory and non-monogamy and kink.
Sure.
Like, there's another two separate communities for that. And like basically for me, what you need for a community is a recurring space, a recurring time, some recurring faces, so that like at least there can be institutional memory.
Oh, so you're saying like fundamentals of community?
Yeah, like fundamentals of like what
this
keeps
is
a
interesting.
community strong and thriving, because this is something where, and I know like Leo, we wanted to talk to him today because
that would be great.
He's working on his own community space. He's thinking about this very intensely, and like both of us are people who are, we can't not build community.
I was gonna say
wherever we go.
Like we do community not intentionally sometimes. It's just how we live accidentally. Not accidentally, but you know.
But the interesting thing, like we've, I guess to an extent, built it into intuition. Like we have a sense of like what should and should not be present, and how to tweak certain variables. But like, what are those variables? What are the things, if you're going to tell someone, like they're like, I mean, this just happened to me. The guy I introduced you to the other day, he said to me like, I have a co-working app, and I want to form a community around it.
I took him to your tech meetup.
He didn't even say what do I do. I started telling him. Because I couldn't even stop myself. I was just like,
he was like, Steve was so insightful. I'm like, well,
I was like,
you had to meet him.
I was like, you have to, like, what are you doing right now to make this work? Like, here's this. Have you done these things?
I was like, the guys, the head of meetup is here right now.
Talk
you know,
to
another co-working space app is here right now. Talk to the founders.
And the fact that I introduced him to you was another like telling point, because it was like, okay, like I was like, I probably won't have that much time to invest in this.
I would be like,
Pocket
sure, I'll help him.
Will immediately want this, because it's like, I just saw you working on something very similar.
Which is funny because it was, you sent him over, and whatever, me, Jason, and you were like, we're gonna put this project on hold. And then you we're like, we're gonna put the co-working buddies, whatever it was, on hold. And then you're like, you were working on this. You two should connect because you're working on the co-working buddies idea. And I'm like, we just put that on hold.
Well, we put it on hold for lack of
real reason to actually execute on it.
And so now we had a reason, and now you have like all the existing infrastructure coming in the form of a human who's actively putting resources into this. Which
we'll get back to. By the way, I just wanted to intervene for a second to say, you have a Magic the Gathering group on Facebook.
You didn't know?
I didn't know. I played growing up, but anywho, I was like, I've gotta see what you guys are doing.
I'll add you to that soon. But I want to touch on like what are these variables?
Okay. So
we want to get back like when someone comes to you and says, I want to build a community from scratch. What
you went over a couple. So I want to hear what those were.
My ones that, like, off the top of my head, the ones that aren't yet in a Medium post because I haven't seen
but they're good. I like them so far.
Recurring space. So I did this with a thing called Sunday Fest. And this was a couple months back.
What was the place?
So a couple of friends came to me. They're like, we have this space and we want to form a community of like artists and healers and musicians and nomads and entrepreneurs and people who are like living life off the beaten path. We have all these friends who do this, but we never really knew how to like get them together because like no one ever had a good space. Everyone's always on these different schedules in and out of the city, and so like basically I pitched. I was like, okay, the things that feel most right for making this into a recurring and like stable community are, one is a consistent space, or a consistent way of knowing which space is the space. So like you shouldn't always have to be questioning like, is something happening? I don't know. So we pinned down the space, which was very lucky.
And by the way, I didn't know that this was you, like, as the brainchild of it. Okay, so I went to this with a friend of mine, the Sunday Fest, and we ended up going, like, what was it, twice, and then I ended up coming back, and I'm like, the place, I just want to go this, I don't even know what it is, I don't know where it is, I just want to go to it, because I know it's going to be fun, I know it's going to be awesome. So that seemed to work. I don't want to give you a pat on the back because it's like, I mean, you did an awesome job there, but it seems so, what is it? It's like, I don't want us to pat each other on the back all the time, but you did an actual awesome job there, so I kind of have to.
It was, I gave it a little push. I basically said like, can we do it in this way? And then everyone else was like, yes, can we, please, let's do it.
So as you
so the thing, having a consistent space is one. Having a consistent time, especially if it's a flexible time. So like what we chose was Sundays from noon to 9 p.m. And so it was like 9 hours. Anyone who's like anywhere near the city will be able to make it if they want. Having specific things available to be happening so that if someone's like, I don't want to get out of bed, but there's a thing happening. It's not just that people will be there. It's that there's going to be things happening in the space during that time. So co-working was one option, so the people who still wanted to be productive had the option to do that in one of the like little sections of the space.
Sure.
Live music was another, so people can be like creative, like basically anytime they want to either contribute or listen, that's always a pull. There were like masseuses that came in to offer free massages.
I missed masseuses.
You missed masseuses.
Oh my god.
We had potluck, so if people wanted food, like there's so many reasons why people say, oh, I'm not going to come today. And I was basically making a list of them and checking one by one, like, oh, I'm too busy, I have work. No,
I remember it was.
Oh, I'm too hungry, I need to go find food. Like, no, eat here, there's free food. And basically every step of the way
That's interesting, because you're like literally thinking of the dialogues that are going on in their heads.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This
I'm
is
a
like
huge fan of that.
tree
We need
diagrams.
someone that's going to say like, no, this all sucks. You know, like I feel like I'm way too positive with this, but I'm really liking it. I like to, I'm trying to play devil's advocate and lower ourselves sometimes, but that's really cool. Being inside someone's head and understanding their thought process within it. Like, I mean, when I went, it was it was meditation and come learn how to come see where the boat that you can be on for free is, or something.
Living on a boat.
That was awesome.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was just like that's a reason to go.
But that's still that's just basically touching on why an event could be successful. But the fact of it being a series, like how do we actually bring in the right people to cultivate the community? So what we also did, besides space and recurring time and having things within the space at those times,
I feel like the third one needs more definition to it. Is the things in space times that
it's anything that adds gravity.
I like the thing that you were saying where it was things that add gravity, but you were saying like that literally counters their excuses. I know you can't always do that, but that's so cool.
You can call it countering excuses. You can call it adding gravity, which is basically overcoming the pull of the alternatives.
Okay.
So that's like it can be literally even it can just be like each time one famous person or one interesting person comes who's going to be like an immediate pull for anyone who's on the fence about should I do it, should I not, can I just lay in bed, like basically the cost of laying in bed, like the satisfaction people get from that on a Sunday morning, like getting someone out of bed is so difficult sometimes. And so we had a nap room, which was another
the nap room but I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit better than, because you like food, right? And some people are like, well, I've got to go to eat after.
You can Maslow it if you you really want to.
Yeah, but anyway.
We were trying to account for all the needs up through self-actualization. And another thing,
Wi-Fi is there.
There was Wi-Fi.
There was Wi-Fi.
But interestingly, one of the things that we did in order to keep not just people coming for one-off experiences, but to keep them feeling like they were part of a community, was we allowed the space to accommodate everyone's different professional interests. So like if you wanted to use the space as a masseuse to offer, like basically it became free client acquisition for everyone who's there, because like if you're the masseuse, you're basically advertising your services to 50 or 100 people in the room. If you were the musician and you were looking for other people to play with you, then like you get
it was very amusing that we had like this great meditation, and then she's like, thank you for letting us meditate. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just had a fantastic time, and cool.
So like that also, that's
you are very welcome.
The fourth element is making people feel like they're getting incredibly positive ROI on the experience. So the incentive to come back is that like you either get more prospective clients, or you built a friendship, or you actually had a really good conversation with someone there that you want to continue the next time. So a lot of times people are busy.
Yes.
Their attention is constantly divided. Like,
you don't even need to tell me that.
Even you can go on like the best date of your life, and then like 6 weeks will go by before you see the person again, just because like work got in the way. You had to go away for a month. Like, what happens to the people in a community, especially in a city like New York, who have to go away for 2 to 3 weeks right after the day in which they had such a good, compelling community experience? If it's an event series, like that touches on the recurring space, recurring time, then they know they can always come back and hopefully find the other person. And if you have a way of like logging the visitors to like a Facebook group or something like that, they can actually reconnect with the people that they met. Maybe they didn't get time to get their credentials or their information, but they can still reconnect. They can come again. They can send their friends to go there and like, go meet that person, find this person, and like help me remember who it was. Like basically, because it's recurring, because there is a lot of value to come in terms of like who you cultivate, who you bring. It gives people who are not able to make it on a regular basis the ability to still derive huge amounts of value from it, and to still keep, like, they want to get back. like I've been hosting my Thrive salon. That's like a monthly thing.
Yeah.
I've had people not be able to show up for like 8 months in a row, but when they come back, they're like, yes.
That was me. Well, I mean, I haven't been.
You disappear.
Yeah, I disappear. I tend to. I'm Batman. The salon I went to in San Fran. I did go to one in New York, and then I went to that one like what was it, a month ago. I think I had 2 points on what you're saying. One, well, this is gonna be two. It's okay. I'm gonna start from the beginning. Is what ROI in the third? I believe that's the third thing, right? So what ROI counts? Like, how can we define that more?
So the cool thing about what we had going was that we largely didn't have to think too much about making like annual or quarterly or even monthly revenues.
Okay.
And that's a huge thing because one of the hardest things in a space like New York is actually paying for the space. We actually did have a lot of trouble with that. That's why it couldn't sustain itself, is that like it's really expensive to have a space in the city. And if you're building it as co-working, then you're competing with other co-working spaces. If you're building it like as soon as you try to build it as a certain thing, then you ending up in this weird realm of like intense competition with other places where like, okay, how fast is your Wi-Fi at this point? So it's really hard. Like I think that goes outside the realm of at least the scope of this conversation for talking about the community element in particular.
Yeah, because it almost counters what I was saying. It's like the community element is going to be your differentiator. I was starting off the conversation with the community element will be your differentiator when everything else you have has competition to it for everyone is offering the same option. Community can be that unique element that wins, and this is exactly in the opposite direction. Yeah. But that's a different conversation.
It's an interesting one because this is what kills, I would say, 80% of communities is the need to suddenly monetize or show that ROI on like, how do you quantify human happiness? We're trying at the societal level, like global level. We have like the gross national happiness index, but that doesn't really trickle down very well into like, the day-to-day of running a business or having a startup. Having happy employees doesn't guarantee that you make income and that you can pay those employees, and then as soon as you stop paying them, then they're not happy anymore.
I feel like there's something in that Tony Hsieh book that also like, that actually says there is some.
I would love to.
I don't know.
I need to read the book because this is something where like to have a better sense of the metrics around how community and happiness and hitting all those different like major categories of what makes someone feel fulfilled in a workplace or in a community environment, how those variables translate into either extra competitiveness, extra income. Like
we need to call Zappos Community Service. Tony Hsieh runs created Zappos. We need to call Zappos Community Service and have them explain it to us, because they'll literally take any call and do that.
Sure. Fine. We'll give them a call for the next conversation in this series.
At some point.
I think we've gone pretty far already. It's been like 35 minutes.
Has it been?
So I'm gonna maybe pause it here and we'll see just where that leaves us.
Yeah.
You had two things you had wanted to say earlier.
It was just two on the third aspect that you were going into. One was how do you define ROI to if I'm starting an event, a recurring event. Yes. How am I going to I want something that I can be like, okay, there's gonna be ROI here, here, and here. Mm-hmm. How do I point those things out? That was one. And two, you mentioned like the Facebook group, which seems like a place that they could come back to, that they're referred to, which is outside of the event. So it almost seemed like another bullet point of, a place that they can touch on, they can contact or be whatever, that is away from it, that is right there on their phone,
So I should have mentioned that. I'm glad you did, because that is like probably number 4.5, 5.
That's 4.
It's not so much 4.
I've lost count.
It's the ability to have cross-functional contact. So like it's not just face-to-face that keeps the community strong, because that's really helpful for reinforcing and getting like the face contact and recognition, the name recognition. But
someday you'll remember my name.
One day. Okay. But the important thing that I missed from like my little list is if I meet you at an event, if I don't get your card and I don't have any other way of following up, maybe this was 4. If I don't have any other way of following up, then like what do I actually do to sustain that relationship? Otherwise, I'm just like, okay, well, I met a cool person there.
There,
Hopefully,
game
he'll be
over.
there when I come back.
Yeah.
So having the bridge mechanism, so like, I meet you here, and I know that you're probably in the Facebook community or you're in the email list. I can find the organizer and say, hey, I met this guy. He like talked about these things. Like,
I actually have something on that, but we'll probably have to keep it for later on how I maintain contacts like that.
Oh yeah, that'll be a separate conversation. That's one that I think a lot about.
Yeah,
as well.
I love that.
But it could be having a Slack community, having a Facebook community, having an email listserv where people can respond dynamically to it, so that they can all kind of participate, and you can have maybe one person at the head routing it. It can be what's another.
I feel like it has to be like you said, it has to be a reference point that is like it's there, it updates, and it has a log of the people involved or a way to contact them.
Also, it's hard to always assume that like people will be the most active forces, because like, let's say you leave the thing, you're now busy.
Yeah.
But like, I know that you had a good conversation with someone.
Yeah.
I have an extra 2 seconds where I'm like, you know what, I want to make sure that relationship solidifies.
Okay.
So sometimes it really helps to not just either have like at least one community person who's like thinking about this, thinking about like, how do we ensure that these relationships grow and don't just exist on like a one-off basis. That's something that's like, I think about that constantly, and people pay you to think about that. But for me, like, it's something where you can never, and this is something I learned in dating too, you can never guarantee that one positive interaction will turn into a second positive interaction. Like, I just talked to someone this morning who like had a really good, he's traveling abroad, he met someone who's totally awesome, they had like the best day ever. And then day 2, he texts her and she's just like gone.
What?
And yeah, there's no guarantee that just because you're the perfect, like, super intense connectedness, talking about everything, physical intimacy, and then he saw her, and he actually saw her the next day, and she's just like,
he saw her the next day, and it was
as though she never met him.
I thought it was just like, I was like, oh, that has to do with online dating, and online
so
dating, there's an awkwardness, there's a surface tension. There literally is surface tension with online dating.
This is an extreme case, but it's something where it's just worth remembering that if you don't have someone to help lubricate the community, when everyone's just like doing their different thing, they come together, and even if they have good interaction, there's not necessarily enough gravity to pull them back. Like, they're like two comets, they cross paths, maybe bump a little, and then they keep going. And if you don't have someone to recreate that gravity, whether in the form of an incredibly strong community dynamic or having some, and this is where I talk about like community gatekeepers. So like, you have mods, you have like, you know, Reddit cannot just be Reddit. Like, it needs to have, like, each different subreddit has moderators, and the people who are the gatekeepers for that community, they keep it structurally sound, they keep people interacting, they give notices to everyone about what's coming up. And like, that's kind of one of the things I think about. If you have a Slack channel or a Slack group, it's not usually just one person doing all the work within that. You have people who like are taking control and ownership over their channels that they have the most interest in, and so they can they see, oh, these people came in today,
and that's sort of like separate from, that's sort of like a separate aspect of 4 in a way. Yeah, you're gonna have to probably split this up.
Oh man, yeah. This is where conversations just keep going deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
but
that's
in the interest of
another
time, we'll save that for another one. If people want it, let us know, and we'll cover that at the next one.
And the comments, I
don't know if there are comments.
Facebook, is it Facebook Live? I have no idea.
Oh shit, we didn't do Facebook. This is just
that's awesome because we're doing a test anyways. So.
Oh well, maybe next time.
Yeah, there are comments on Facebook Live, by the way.
That is true.
Yeah,
next time.
All
right. Thank you,
Cheers,
everybody.
guys.
I'm Steve, Dean, running the conversation is / community. Is that today's?
Yeah, today's community,
sure.
Something like that. I'm Pocket. Pocket Silbermintz. You know, it's people will think it's weird if I just give my first name. So,
well, you are the one who's in charge of your name.
Yeah, exactly.
I let my guests, whoever wants to be part of this. In this case, you're helping me like build this whole thing.
Oh my god,
build the
I'm
community.
so excited. But that's I feel like once again that's gonna be another conversation. That's why I said, like, you know, that it's a whole conversation of why I wanted to do more podcasting.
Yes.
But that's
Pocket's here to teach me how to podcast because I've never done it before.
Oh, you've never done it at all?
No.
Oh my god, dude, I used to run a radio show in college. Or 2 or something. Consistency is key. We're gonna do it. Anywho,
you can thank Pocket
we're gonna
later
stop.
This actually starts turning into something.
It's
cool.
gonna be awesome.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye.